It's an honor to be invited to help celebrate the 15th anniversary of Christian Music Broadcasters. Man, it's hard to believe it's been that long. Hey, I'm Dusty Rhodes. I'm the Senior Vice President at Elevation Growth Partners. We're a leadership and fundraising consulting firm. Now, I remember attending that pivotal meeting in 2002. I was representing WayFM at the time as its first Chief Operating Officer. We believed we made a significant decision forming a new organization focused primarily on Christian music radio. And God has been faithful ever since. We were just talking the other day on the CMB forum, asking each other which of our stations have hit #1 in their respective markets. And the ones that came to mind were Jim Hogue and the team at Z88 in Orlando, Frank Reed and his team at KLTY in Dallas. Somebody mentioned Kevin and Taylor at the Fish in Atlanta, and Chris Lemke and his team at WCSG. But the main point of our conversation was looking at Christian music radio and how far it has come and done so much. Done things that some of us who have been around for a while only dreamed about years ago. You know, Christian music radio, kind of like Facebook and the iPhone, they haven't been around forever. Seems like yesterday some of us remember when it was hard to find an all-music station. And if you found a Christian station that played CCM, it was usually for only a few hours a day. Well, I've been having fun watching some of these CMB videos lately, maybe like you, and it got me thinking about the CMB type events we attended many years ago. Go back 20 years before CMB, okay? So I asked some of our industry friends about that, and asked them to remind me, where were you and what were you doing during those pioneering days? So here's a name-dropping alert, I realize, and so hang in there, check this out, because these are some pretty amazing things that people in our industry were doing. Joe Battaglia and Lloyd Parker were managing stations just outside of New York City, playing CCM part of the day on AM signals. And others were doing that too in Philadelphia and San Antonio. Chris Hauser, before he joined a music label or started his own promotions company, he was programming a station in Syracuse. I was in Pittsburgh. I was programming WPIT FM, which is now Word FM. But those were all stations playing CCM part of the day. Salem was around, but Stu Epperson told me that they only had 8 stations, and none of them were Fish stations. Our pioneers, Bob Augsburg and Jim Campbell, had yet to launch their Way FM and Joy FM stations. K-Love, I think, was on a couple of stations, but nowhere near the network that we know them to be today. But then finally, there came a time when a few full-time FM CCM stations were launched. Greg Fass was programming KYMS in California, John Rivers programming WXRI in Virginia Beach, before later launching KLTY in Dallas with K-Love's David Pierce. I am dropping a lot of names here, aren't I? And then in Tulsa, KCFO had a killer team. Listen to this. They had KSBJ's Tim McDermott, Family Life Today's Bob Lepine, the Wizard of Ads, Roy Williams, and Advocacy's Paul Martin. All those people under the same roof at the same time. Man. And then in Lakeland, Florida, WCIE was on the air with the team of KSBJ's John Hall and Share Media's Dave Kirby and Bill Scott. So some amazing activity going on around the country, but we were all scattered. And we were all kind of doing our own thing, learning what we could on our own until we were brought together. And with the help of CMB, where many of us are now playing songs people want, we say and do things that matter in between the songs. We meet tangible needs in our communities. We impact lives for Jesus. What a great use of resources and time. Now, if you see some badges framed here behind me, they represent a lot of resources and time at different conventions. But I can honestly tell you that among all of them, CMB has been the best investment I have made. It's the speakers, it's the things we learn, it's the research takeaways where we can make better informed decisions about things. And the best part is the friendships. I think we'd all agree, you know, despite my name dropping here and there, it's really all about relationships in the end. They are the most important. Well, in closing, let me just say that there's always going to be those who need to hear about Jesus and what he has done. And you and I get the privilege of doing that every day. And the more relevant we get at our strategy, our message, our execution, and our funding, the more effective we're going to be for him. I look forward to being there this September in Orlando. And until then, CMB, happy 15th anniversary.